All right, so I got them in there, but wow, this is a lot of pain. As you can see, I had like tiny gaps throughout, and there's a lot of cords in here. This little piece of wood here that I'm highlighting with my flashlight, that's just to keep these two power supplies from coming into contact. They don't have great grounds, and sometimes if they touch, they'll throw sparks, which obviously you don't want, especially in a wood enclosure. All the machines are plugged in. One of them I don't think is fully kicked in yet, so it'll probably get loud here in a second. I guess I'll keep filming just in case it does get loud. They're putting off a little heat. This one in particular on the right, make sure it's spinning. It's still, there we go. Like I said in my second to last video, every time you plug them in, you're convinced they won't turn back on. So this is pretty loud. It's not quite as loud as the other two machines I demoed previously. These are my only two running at about a distance of less than a foot, maybe a foot. But I'm going to connect these in and then connect them to an inline duct fan, throw the back of this bad boy, and see what sort of reduction we get. Alright, so I'm not sure that this is actually going to work, but right now I got this whole thing enclosed, and then on the back here I need to get rid of this drop so I have more of a direct line. I'm testing it with a 6-inch fan that does 440 cubic feet per minute out. It's definitely sucking some of the heat out, but I can hear the fan inside struggling a little bit, so I'm gonna go outside and cool off. It's a little warm in here, and then look at the actual numbers in this thing. Okay, so when I first plugged this thing in, on one miner I had a PCB temperature of 44. There's 44, 44, 43, 44, so let's call it 44. The temperature on the chip is 52, 54, 52, 50. I'm gonna refresh this and see what we're up to. I'm gonna guess it's increased. One thing is this amp miner back end just takes a while to refresh. Yeah, it's definitely increased. On the PCB, 52, 50, 47, 48, that's not too bad. 4 degrees Celsius or so, maybe 8 in one case. And the temperature on the chip, 60, 59, 57, 55, so still way below 80. I'm pretty happy with that if it sustains. On the other one, on the PC board, I got temps, or control board basically, I've got 52, 50, 49, 47 before I refresh, and 63, 61, 61, 65, or 55. I'm gonna see if I can switch around. Well, no, but you can see that I'm not lying. The ASIC's up and running, doing pretty well. Refresh here and see what we're up to. Highest temperature on the chip is 63. Before, now it's up to 65. The control board's 56, 52, 51, 48. It's pretty good. I'm only using a 440 cubic foot per minute fan, and these things are only supposed to move 50 feet per minute, but I think that that's a gross underestimate. I think they do more like 200, maybe even 300. So in the past, I've looked at increasing the 6-inch fan up to like an 8-inch or a 12-inch and trying to throw massive amounts of exhaust at it. I think that would increase, of course, increase the performance, but it increases cost, and it doesn't really help you with your noise, because at that point you have a giant fan sitting in your window, or you got to run a tube out and have the fan sitting outside and it's exposed to the elements, and from there you might want to construct something to put the fan in, and it just starts to get ridiculous. So as it is, I think this is way better than I expected it to be, and is definitely a good starting point. So I'd say we might have two products. One is that window unit that I shot a couple of days ago. That one works great. Needs a little bit of work on the back. And this one is pretty solid as well. Just telling you, one of the things that has to be done, it was very painful to get the machines in and get all the wires set up. I think that if I had set it up outside the box and then plugged them in, that would have been an improvement. Trying to do it inside the box was stressful. I did not enjoy that. So I can imagine as a user who just wants something that works, that would be insanely frustrating. I'm gonna go back inside and just see what the box sounds like. It's not in its final resting location, but you know, at least you can get an idea. So this is the grandfather clock HushBox. It's 6 feet tall. It's pretty big. I just made it out of basic MDF, so you know, maybe next time I would do better wood. I just needed something cheap and readily available. I think it looks pretty good. The idea would be, this is 12 inches wide. I'm definitely going to increase that to like at least 14 inches, maybe 16, just to get a better brace in the inside. The idea is we throw a 9-inch clock or something here, so you have sort of this modern looking grandfather clock, and of course we'd be redesigning it for home use. It would look a lot better. And then this comes over here and directly goes out your window. This is not the way that you do ductwork. Generally you really don't want to drop like this, but it is what it is right now for testing. And you know, a 5 to 10% increase on the machines is pretty good. And on the bottom here, let's see if I can get it. It's too dark, but all these cables come right in, so it's just about as neat as I can make it. So if you compare that to this, you know, I think these are two pretty good products that would work well for the average home user. So I forgot to mention one thing. The window unit with the exposed back, I get about 90 odd decibels right at the box. It's pretty audible. In the backyard, I can definitely hear it running. And in front of the box, I'm down about 58. So it's real quiet. We can make the back quieter and add in some uneven surfaces so that the sound doesn't reflect quite as much. But you know, pushing noise into the backyard's not that big of a deal for most people. And keeping the cost relatively low, as well as our manufacturing needs relatively low, that seems like a win. The grandfather clock box is not quite as effective in noise reduction. Plus you got that other fan sitting in the window sucking out the heat. Those two machines, before I plugged them in inside the box, were about factory spec noise. So they were 82 decibels. I had fluctuations from like 81 to 83, but let's just call it 82. And within the box, I'm getting between 67 to 71 decibels. So it's about twice as loud as the window unit, but it's still way quieter than having them just hanging out or on a regular, I can't remember what they're called. I want to call it a breadboard, but the regular racks that you see people have, the black wire racks. I think we can do a little bit to improve the grandfather clock idea, for sure. But as it is, I think it's pretty effective. And if you don't want something sticking on, sitting in your window with the theft risk, it's definitely a better option. The 10 decibels you can probably live with, as opposed to getting a couple minors stolen every few weeks. That's a much higher cost to pay. Thanks again for watching. This is Kyle. I appreciate your time.